First contact, last warning. The void of space was beautiful when it wasn't filled with debris from a shattered colony. Commander Elena Reyes stood motionless on the bridge of the TSS Defiant, her dark eyes reflecting the floating wreckage of what had once been humanity's proudest achievement, the Proxima Centauri colony. 6,000 lives extinguished in what appeared to be a methodical, calculated attack, not a random asteroid collision or technical failure, as Earth's Central Command had initially suggested. Analysis complete, Commander, Lieutenant Park said, his voice tight with controlled rage. Energy signatures match nothing in our database. This was definitely an alien attack. The bridge fell silent. Humanity had wondered about alien life for centuries, and now they had their answer in the most brutal way possible. Elena's fingers tightened around the command rail. The Defiant was humanity's newest warship, technically on its maiden voyage, a vessel that officially didn't exist in any public record, a prototype that represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity, built in secret after intelligence suggested something might be lurking at the edges of our solar system. XO Wallace, Elena said, her voice steady despite the churning in her stomach. Prepare a full report for Earth Command. Lieutenant Park, continue scanning. I want to know if whoever did this is still in the system. Commander, the sensor officer called suddenly. Multiple objects approaching from the Kuiper Belt region. Energy signatures are massive. Elena straightened her uniform. On screen, the main display illuminated with a formation that made Elena's military training kick into overdrive. 7 vessels, arranged in a hunting pattern. Their designs were unlike anything in humanity's archives. Asymmetrical constructs that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, giving them a shadowy, almost liquid appearance. They're hailing us, Communications Officer Chen announced, surprise evident in her voice. Put them through, Elena ordered. The alien that appeared on screen had Elena fighting to maintain her composure. It resembled something between an octopus and a mantis, with multiple limbs moving independently and 4 golden eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its skin, if you could call it that, shifted colors like oil on water. This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth vessel Defiant, she stated firmly. You are in human territory. Identify yourself. The alien's eyes narrowed, and when it spoke, its words were translated with an unsettling echo. Human vessel, this is Grand Admiral Zex Kalter of the Voidborn Dominion. Your presence is unexpected. We were not aware your species possessed interstellar capabilities beyond your primitive colony. Elena's jaw tightened. You destroyed our colony. A necessary cleansing, the alien replied without a hint of remorse. Your species has been observed. You were judged inadequate for continued expansion. The resources of this system will serve a higher purpose under Voidborn control. The bridge crew exchanged glances of barely contained fury. I suggest you reconsider, Elena replied coolly. Humanity is not what you think. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. Your vessel is outmatched 7-1. Our scans detect minimal weapons technology. Your ship's power signature is quaint. Submit to boarding and your crew may be preserved for study. Elena nodded slightly to her tactical officer, who understood the silent command. We prefer to give you a demonstration instead, Elena responded. With a gesture, she cut the transmission. Battle stations, she ordered. Quantum shields online. Prepare the kinetic array. The Defiant hummed to life, systems activating that had never been tested in actual combat. The ship had been built with one purpose, to defend humanity against exactly this kind of threat. A threat that Central Command had suspected but hoped would never materialize. Commander, the tactical officer reported, they're moving to surround us. Energy readings suggest weapons charging. Elena nodded. Let them think they have us. Wait until they're in optimal position. The alien vessels moved with unexpected grace, their formation tightening around the Defiant like a noose. The largest ship, presumably Grand Admiral Zex Kaltar's, hung back slightly, clearly expecting an easy victory. "They're firing," Park announced. The bridge view screen showed multiple energy beams lancing toward them from all directions. A perfect trap, or so the aliens thought. "Quantum shields at full," Elena commanded. "Hold position." The Defiant shuddered slightly as the energy weapons struck their shields, but where the aliens clearly expected to see a crippled or destroyed human vessel, the Defiant remained intact, the quantum shield technology absorbing and dissipating the attack with minimal effect. "Shield holding at 97%, reported the defensive systems officer with satisfaction. Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Now, Lieutenant Park, show them what humanity is truly capable of." The tactical officer's fingers danced across his console. Kinetic array targeting their forward vessel. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The Defiant's main weapon was unlike anything humanity had publicly acknowledged developing. It didn't fire energy beams or conventional projectiles. Instead, it manipulated the fundamental forces of physics, creating a narrow corridor where the rules of momentum were temporarily rewritten. The effect was invisible until it reached its target. The lead alien vessel suddenly compressed, as though struck by an invisible fist, its exotic metals crumpling inward before the ship exploded in a silent, brilliant flash. Where a formidable alien warship had been moments before, only scattered debris remained. Stunned silence fell across both the human bridge and, presumably, the alien fleet. "They're hailing us again," Chen announced. The alien commander's face appeared, its color-shifting skin now pulsating rapidly. What Elena guessed might be their equivalent of shock or anger. "Impossible," Zexkelter hissed. "Your species is pre-FTL. You do not possess such technology." "You made a critical error, Grand Admiral," Elena replied calmly. "You judged us by the colony you destroyed. Civilian scientists and families with minimal defenses. The Defiant represents a different aspect of humanity. The aspect that responds when someone threatens our people." She leaned forward slightly. "This ship carries technologies you've never encountered. That was a demonstration at 20% power. I suggest you withdraw from human space immediately, or we will be forced to continue this demonstration with your remaining vessels." The alien's appendages moved in what might have been agitation. "This changes nothing. The Voidborn Dominion spans hundreds of systems. We have thousands of ships. You have one vessel. Do you wish to test that assumption?" Elena asked. "Because I assure you, humanity has always excelled at one thing above all others: survival. We've had to overcome our own nature, our own planet, and now we'll overcome you if necessary." She gestured to Park. "Target their command vessel. 50% power." "Wait," the alien commander interjected. "We will reassess. This encounter has provided unexpected data." The alien ships began to retreat, maintaining weapons lock on the Defiant, but clearly unwilling to risk another demonstration of human technology. "You have 12 hours to leave this system," Elena stated firmly. "After that, we will consider any Voidborn presence an act of war against humanity." The transmission cut abruptly. Elena remained standing, her posture rigid until the alien ships had moved beyond immediate engagement range. "They're retreating toward the outer system," Park confirmed. "But I'm detecting burst transmissions. They're calling for reinforcements." Elena nodded. "This was only the beginning. XO Wallace, send a priority transmission to Earth Command. First contact has been established with a hostile species. Proxima Centauri colony confirmed destroyed. Request immediate deployment of the Aurora and Phoenix." Those were the Defiant's sister ships, equally advanced and currently hidden in the Sol system. "And Commander?" Wallace asked. Elena's gaze remained fixed on the slowly retreating alien vessels. "Tell them we're going to need Project Resonance after all. The Voidborn won't underestimate humanity twice." As the Defiant maintained its position beside the remains of humanity's first extrasolar colony, Elena felt the weight of what had just occurred. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they weren't, and their neighbors were hostile. But if there was one thing human history had proven time and again, it was that underestimating humanity's resolve was a grave mistake. The aliens had destroyed one colony, believing humans to be primitive and weak. They would soon learn how wrong they were. Dr. Zhang to the bridge. Alina called over the ship's comm system. It was time to prepare the technology that even most of the crew didn't know existed. The real reason the Defiant had been built. The Voidborn would return. And when they did, humanity would be ready. The technology they never saw coming. Dr. Kai Zhang was not what most people expected when they thought of a weapons scientist. Standing barely 5'5" with gentle eyes behind round glasses, he looked more like a university professor than the architect of humanity's most advanced defense system. "The resonance cascade is ready, Commander," he said quietly as he entered the bridge, clutching his tablet. "Though I had hoped we wouldn't need to use it so soon." Elena nodded grimly. "So did everyone at Central Command, Doctor. But hope isn't a strategy." The 12-hour ultimatum was approaching its final minutes. The Voidborn fleet had withdrawn to the edge of the system, but hadn't left. Instead, as Sensor Officer Park had predicted, they had been joined by reinforcements. A lot of them. 23 vessels now detected, Park announced, including what appears to be 3 Dreadnought-class ships nearly twice the size of the first group's largest vessel. XO Wallace moved closer to Elena. "Orders, Commander. The Aurora and Phoenix are still 8 hours away at maximum FTL." Elena studied the tactical display. The Defiant was remarkable, but even its advanced systems couldn't overcome those odds alone. They needed time. "They're hailing us again," Chen reported. Elena straightened. On screen, Grand Admiral Zexcaltar appeared, but this time accompanied by another alien, larger with 6 eyes instead of 4, its skin shifting through darker patterns of blue and purple. "Human vessel." The new alien began without preamble. "I am Supreme Executor Vox Modrai of the Voidborn Dominion Council. Your interference in our resource acquisition is noted. Your technology is unexpected." Elena met the alien's gaze steadily. "As I explained to the Grand Admiral, you've misjudged humanity. We are not to be trifled with. A single advanced vessel does not change the inevitable outcome," Vox Modrai stated. "We have analyzed your weapon. It is impressive but limited. Our reinforced fleet can overwhelm it through coordinated attacks." Dr. Zhang shifted uncomfortably beside Elena. She gave him a reassuring glance before responding. "If you believe that's true, why contact us at all? Why not simply attack?" The alien's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "Your species presents an anomaly. Your technological development is inconsistent with our observations. We offer you terms. Surrender your vessel and its technology. Share your advancements. In exchange, we will spare your homeworld." Elena's eyes narrowed. "You expect us to believe that after you destroyed our colony without warning, the colony was insignificant, a test of your species' response capabilities. Earth, however, holds billions. Their fate rests on your decision." The bridge crew tensed. Elena felt a cold fury building inside her, but kept her voice level. "Here are our terms. You will leave human space immediately. You will acknowledge humanity's sovereignty over all our current and future colonies. You will provide reparations for the lives taken at Proxima Centauri. Refuse, and you will witness what happens when humanity is truly threatened." The Supreme Executor made a sound that needed no translation. Contempt. "You have one of your Earth hours to surrender. After that, we will take your ship by force and proceed to your homeworld regardless." The transmission cut. Elena turned to Dr. Zhang. "It's time, Doctor. Is the system ready?" Zhang nodded solemnly. "Yes, Commander. But I must remind you, once initiated, we cannot precisely predict the extent of the effect. The mathematics suggests containment within our target parameters, but this technology manipulates quantum fields in ways we're still understanding." "Will it stop them?" Elena asked bluntly. "Yes. Zhang replied without hesitation. That much I can guarantee. Elena turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Park, initiate defensive protocol resonance. Deploy the quantum buoys as planned. The bridge became a flurry of activity as the Defiant's most classified system was brought online. From the ship's launch bays, 12 small, unassuming objects were deployed, moving swiftly to form a precisely calculated pattern between the Defiant and the Voidborn fleet. Buoys deployed and active, Park confirmed. Quantum field stabilizing. Elena opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, secure for possible gravitational disturbance. This is not a drill. She turned to Dr. Zhang. How long until they realize what we're doing? The scientist checked his readings. The field is subtle until activated. They may detect the buoys, but they won't understand their purpose until... Commander, Park interrupted. The Voidborn fleet is advancing. They're not waiting for their ultimatum to expire. Elena's decision was immediate. They've made their choice. Dr. Zhang, begin the resonance sequence. Zhang's fingers moved across his tablet with practiced precision. Initializing quantum field. Resonance in 3, 2, 1. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself appeared to ripple between the quantum buoys, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The distortion spread, connecting the buoys in a complex geometric pattern. They're firing, Park reported. Energy weapons lanced from multiple Voidborn vessels toward the Defiant. But as they entered the activated field, something extraordinary happened. The energy beams seemed to slow, then bend, and finally disperse into harmless particles. The resonance field is holding, Zhang confirmed, excitement breaking through his usually calm demeanor. Phase 1 complete. Moving to Phase 2. The rippling effect intensified, and now the space between the Defiant and the alien fleet resembled the surface of a pond during rainfall, distortions spreading and overlapping in complex patterns. On the view screen, the advancing Voidborn ships began to slow, then struggle, as though moving through increasingly dense liquid. What's happening to them? Wallace asked, staring at the screen in fascination. Zhang looked up from his tablet. The resonance cascade alters the fundamental quantum properties of space within the field. For lack of a better analogy, we're changing the rules of physics that their ships operate under. The effect became more pronounced. The alien vessels at the front of the formation now appeared to be straining against invisible forces. Their propulsion systems flared brightly as they fought against the field, but to no avail. They're hailing us again, Chen reported, surprise evident in her voice. On screen, Elena ordered. The Supreme Executor appeared, its color-shifting skin now cycling rapidly through agitated patterns. What is this technology? It demanded, genuine alarm in its translated voice. Our engines are at maximum, yet we cannot advance. This is just the beginning, Elena replied calmly. The resonance cascade doesn't just stop your ships. It reconfigures the quantum structure of space itself within the field. Your weapons can't penetrate it. Your shields can't resist it. And if we increase the intensity... She nodded to Dr. Zhang, who adjusted a setting on his tablet. The effect was immediate and devastating. The foremost alien vessels began to warp visibly, their exotic hulls distorting as the altered physics of the field began to affect not just the space around them, but the molecular bonds of their ships themselves. Our scans show your hulls beginning to lose structural integrity. Elena continued. That's at 30% intensity. Would you like to see what happens at 50, or perhaps 100? Horror spread across the alien leader's features. This is impossible. Such technology violates the fundamental laws of physics. No, Dr. Zhang interjected, stepping forward. It doesn't violate them. It rewrites them locally, something your scientists apparently never considered possible. Elena raised her hand, signaling Zhang to pause the intensity increase. You have a choice, Supreme Executor. Withdraw permanently from human space, or be destroyed by a force you cannot comprehend, let alone fight. The alien's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. You destroyed 23 ships, thousands of Voidborn lives. You destroyed 6,000 human lives without hesitation, Elena replied, her voice hard as steel, and threatened billions more. Consider your next decision very carefully. For several tense moments, the alien leader seemed to struggle internally. Finally, it made a gesture that appeared submissive. We withdraw. Deactivate your weapon, and we will retreat beyond your system's boundary. Elena shook her head. No, you will retreat while the field remains active. It will be deactivated once you're beyond the system boundary. And know this, Earth now has the coordinates of your nearest outposts from your own communications. If you ever approach human territory again, we won't stop at defense. The alien commander seemed to deflate. The Dominion Council will hear of this encounter. Good, Elena replied. Make sure they understand exactly what happened here. Humanity will not be tested again. The transmission ended. Slowly, laboriously, the Voidborn fleet began to turn within the constraints of the resonance field, their once graceful vessels now moving awkwardly as they retreated. Maintain the field at current intensity, Elena ordered. Follow them to the system boundary. Hours later, as the last Voidborn ship crossed beyond Proxima Centauri's heliopause, Dr. Zhang gradually powered down the quantum buoys. The resonance field dissipated, leaving normal space in its wake. Recovery teams, collect the buoys, Elena commanded, and prepare a full report for Earth Command. As the bridge crew went about their duties with renewed purpose, XO Wallace approached Elena. They'll be back, won't they? Not right away, but eventually. Elena nodded. Yes, but not as conquerors. Next time, they'll come seeking understanding or alliance. You think so? They seemed pretty set on domination. Elena gazed at the stars on the view screen, thinking of the colony that had been lost and the future that had to be protected. The Supreme Executor made a fundamental error today, beyond underestimating our technology, she explained. They assumed we developed the resonance cascade as a weapon, but that was never its purpose. Wallace looked confused. But we just used it to defeat an alien fleet. Dr. Zhang smiled gently. The resonance technology was developed to allow safer, faster space travel, to bend space in ways that would let us explore the galaxy more efficiently. Its defensive applications were secondary. That's what they don't understand about humanity, Elena added. Our greatest advancements often come not from our desire to destroy, but from our drive to explore, to understand, to improve. They thought they were facing a primitive species that got lucky with one advanced ship. She turned from the view screen to face her XO directly. What they actually faced was the vanguard of a species that has survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and its own near self-destruction. A species that has repeatedly stared into the abyss and climbed back stronger each time. The Defiant began its journey back toward the heart of the system, where recovery efforts would begin for the destroyed colony. As they traveled, Elena received word that the Aurora and Phoenix had arrived at the edge of the system, their presence no longer urgently needed but a comforting reminder that humanity now stood ready. In her quarters later, Elena recorded her personal log entry. First contact has been achieved, though not as any of us would have wished. The Voidborn Dominion miscalculated badly in their assessment of humanity. They saw our outward expansion and judged us by the modest technology of our civilian colony. They expected primitives and found instead a species that had quietly prepared for this moment, a species that understood the universe might not be welcoming. She paused, considering her next words carefully. The resonance technology has proven itself beyond our expectations. Dr. Zhang believes it can be further refined not just for defense, but for its original purpose, revolutionizing space travel. If so, humanity's expansion among the stars will accelerate dramatically. Elena looked out her viewport at the distant star that had witnessed humanity's first extraterrestrial tragedy and first interstellar victory. The Voidborn will tell others about us now. The galaxy will learn that humans are not to be trifled with, not because we are conquerors, but because we refuse to be conquered. Because when our existence is threatened, there are no limits to what we can achieve. She ended her log entry and prepared to return to the bridge. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but humanity's journey among the stars was just beginning. And now, for better or worse, they would not be making that journey alone.